Hi, it's Lindsay Labonte with Applied Mortgage. Thanks for tuning in again to the Applied Mortgage Community Show. This episode, I have with me a very special guest, Micki Sanderson from DeLapp Real Estate, who is going to help us become more prepared in the market this spring. And there is so much rich information here, Micki. We might need to even do a two-part series. Let's start by you just introducing yourself.
Sure. My name is Micki Sanderson. I am truly a local realtor. I've been doing this for about 15 years, about 10 full-time. And I probably love my job more than I ever thought I would. This is kind of my third career in my life. And I guess a fun fact for me that really helps in this industry is the fact that my background's in education. So the learning curve, especially these days, can be pretty steep. So the ability to take information, dissect information, disseminate information, and have the really good communication that's necessary these times is kind of my background anyway. So it was kind of a good natural fit. And I love my job.
That's so perfect. And, you know, I can actually see it on your face, in your eyes when you say that you really do. And after 10 years plus in the industry, if you love real estate as much as is showing through right now, that's amazing. So
thanks, Lindsay. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to help the people, especially in these times. And your expertise is always so valued. And my clients love working with you, I should say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Didn't even ask for that plug, but I appreciate it.
You got it.
And it's all about education. So your background is totally perfect. So I think we both kind of get this vibe from people. Sometimes they want to get started. They don't even really know what to do. So can you tell us a little bit just about the steps that you think are important for buyers to be as prepared as possible right now?
Yeah, it might sound obvious, but it's two-pronged. You absolutely want to you want to interview realtors, and you want to find that person that's going to be your advocate from beginning to end. And sometimes the beginning and the end is a nice little 6-week package. Sometimes the beginning to end is a 4 or 5 month time period. So you want somebody you can trust, somebody that's going to be accessible, somebody that's going to give you good advice and sound advice throughout the process. And that can happen a number of different ways. Certainly I get clients from referrals, which is wonderful. But you can also go online and do some searches. The agent you want is a full-time agent, somebody who is not, doing something else part-time or full-time, but really committed to you and committed to the industry. There's so many things that change on a daily basis, and so much that we have to be up on, that it's really important to have somebody on the ground working for you 100% of the time. And you can also look at their websites, their reviews, and also just talk to people. There are people in the community that will have worked with a number of us over the years, and they're also a great resource. That's number one. Number two is, in these times, it's really important to work with a local bank. And that's kind of the gold ticket when you produce and submit an offer. And you want to interview those folks too. And they have great websites, and it's not just about the rate, but it's about the people and the team. I'm going to say the word communication probably about 200 times during this, because that's so important when you're assembling your team, because this is such an important step in people's lives. And it really doesn't matter if you're 22, 42, or 62. Every time you do it, it's different. Every time you go through the process, it's a different time. It's a different period of time. So there's a different way that the business it fluctuates. So that's it. Be prepared. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to make you feel more confident. And when I tell my clients, when you have that pre-approval in your hand, it just is a wonderful foundation. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel confident. And it's definitely the critical first step.
Definitely. And we were just talking when we were talking offline about how, people may buy, sell, or refinance their home 1, 3, maybe 5 times if you're kind of into that more of an investor status. But think about in your life, there's not really that many things that you only go through a handful of times. So really, Micki, all your points are so spot on about just maybe doing the background research on whoever you're going to be working with. And it's really your own feeling, right? So someone the other day said to me, well, I was referred to this realtor, but they don't have any reviews online. Do you think that's a bad thing? And, you can't really answer that, because if the personal referral they got was really solid, maybe that particular agent just is not the digital type, which is okay, as long as they communicate the way the customer wants and the way that's going to work the rest of the team. But on the other hand, if you want to be texting, Facebooking, tweeting, whatever, then you probably want the agent that has the digital presence. And same thing with the lender, right? It goes on both sides of the process. So those are awesome points that you said. Now, being prepared in this market, we've been in a seller's market technically since 2012, which has just been heightened by the pandemic here. But you had some great statistics, it sounded like, kind of specific to the area and what a buyer can expect right now. So mentally, financially, what should people be preparing for right now?
Yeah. The pertinent question of the month and the year, there's no doubt that we're sliding into 2022 in a very similar pattern of the last, year and a half, 2 years. There are indicators, though, that do suggest, as well as the lead economist with the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, that inventory will increase, that the buyers are still there, but that there will be more options. Without that proverbial crystal ball, we don't know when that is, what that might look like. I can tell you, in comparing statistics from last year to this year, 3 months year to date, last year we had 55 homes that were available for purchase. This year, same time period, we've had 44. So that includes single family condominiums only, those two categories.
And that's in what?
Great question. That's in Hampshire County.
Hampshire County.
Nope,
Okay.
That was in Northampton alone. I purposely did a small sample size so people could understand how that could extrapolate to Hampshire County. But those are Northampton numbers as all.
Northampton. Okay.
Yeah. But here we are, beautiful spring day by all accounts this Monday. And the raising of interest rates tends to stimulate things. And by all accounts, that's happening next week. Some kind of rate raise. You can speak more to that than I can with what that means. But the days on the market or days to offer, which is a better statistic to pay attention to, is still very tight, very small. The average, and I did print out some fun facts here, but I won't. I like statistics, even though I'm an English teacher. But there are definitely. It's very clear that a sale average list price of $399 and this is Hampshire County is an average sale price of $403,000. Wow, so that is 102%. I can't see that changing. So people have to be prepared. They have to be ready to go into a market that's very strong for the sellers and put their best foot forward in every aspect of the process.
Definitely. And this might actually end up being something we go into in more detail in our part 2 here. But when you just mentioned that statistic about houses going for above asking, that's part of the emotional side, right? To kind of wrap your brain around as a buyer, make sure your realtor is able to advise you. These are all such great points here that you've already brought up. And I'm such a statistics nerd now that I'm like, bring that graph up again, Micki. But yeah, that's
the preparation you cannot say enough about. And the preparation is also not just getting yourself set up with your team, but then the assistance that I give prior to even going out to look at homes will be past sales in that specific neighborhood. There was a house in Florence that came on the market last week that probably had about 60 showings over a 3 days period of time. And in order to really zero in on really what that value would be, or what it, should be in this market, I had to zero in on just that section of Florence. And it also was on the bike path. So that lended a little bit of subjectivity to that pricing. And then that's the reason why it's important to choose somebody local, because we know all those things.
Right. The different pockets of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There'll be different pricing for. That's great. So before we get into more of the nitty gritty of actually looking at the offer form, how to construct a competitive offer in this market, what else can you leave us with as far as being prepared as a buyer here? And otherwise, we'll segue into our detailed conversation next.
Yeah. I included the professionals. I also think it's important to have your friends and family on board as a support group. And that, because they're your sounding boards, and they have, a lot of them have so much experience too. They're deep reservoirs of all sorts of, stories and things like that. That will help also. And anytime you can pick up pieces of information, I think most people do tap into those reserves, but don't forget that those people are kind of along on the ride with you. And part of my job is to keep that ride as fun as possible, because the end result is wicked good. But you also want to make sure that you pick up all those little tidbits along the way.
I'm already laughing because that's very true. You have all your friends and family, right, that are along for a ride. And how many times it's an emotional process, picking out the right house, buying a right house. I'm envisioning say yes to the wedding dress style in my head right now, and how there's always that one family member that disagrees with the final product. And so
true.
I think you're totally right. Not only having your professional team ready, but kind of having your wish list and your goals and having that maybe full support.
Yeah.
You.
When I sit down with clients, I always come with my little needs, wants, and wishes little graph, and I fill in little things, and it almost without. It always comes down to the needs they're very serious about their needs. And then by the time we get to the wishes, things lighten up a little bit. And then one will say, well, I really wanted the lap pool in the backyard. And then the other partner will chime in and say, well, I really only wanted a house that had complete and direct access to the dog park. And then it lightens things up, and there's a little more levity to that. And when you get to the wishes part, but I think you should pay attention to that part of the home buying process, not just how many bedrooms you want and, a garage.
Right. Lining up all the little details. And now more than ever, being a buyer going into a house, knowing that you may need to make an offer kind of on the spot, you really have to have all of those needs, wants, and wishes, as you put it, put together and ready to go. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Micki. This has been a lot of fun. I feel more prepared myself here in this market, or more positive, I should say. And if someone wants to contact you before we head off here, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure. It's going to be what you think. It's email, it's phone, it's text. I do all three of those forms of communication. Thankfully now, if you wanted to stop by the office and arrange to meet me here, which is where I am now, we can do this now. And that would be so much fun to meet people in person right away, rather than, the emails back and forth. So, and I'm right here in Northampton.
And it looks beautiful and bright and sunny in there in that yellow room. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here. We are going to have Micki back for part 2, where we will go into a little bit more of the details on making a competitive offer, going through the offer form. And I'm so excited for that call. Thanks, Micki.
Thanks, Lindsay. That was fun.
That's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in to our Applied Mortgage Community Show. As always, if you have any mortgage-related questions, please contact our team at Applied Mortgage, 413-586-5626, or appliedmortgageteam.com. And if you want to be featured on one of our episodes, let me know. We'd love to have you.